Hey y'all, it's Ali from Little Hill Homestead. We have a different background today because today is not a cooking video or a recipe. Today, for our Christmas in July video number 4, we are going to make hand warmers, or we call them boo-boo bags, hand warmers. They're basically like a microwavable little pouch that you can use like as hand warmers. You stick them in your pockets after you microwave them, keep your hands warm. We use them in our house in the freezer. We keep them stored in their freezer, and we use them as boo-boo bags. So when the kids were really little, they're all adults now, they would pull these out when they had, an ouchie. I had major abdominal surgery at one point, and I made a giant one. You can make them any size you want, and I kept that one in the freezer. And then I would also add a second one that I would keep warm for, ice or heat. But today I'm going to show you how to make these because we've made them for gifts. We actually got this idea many, many years ago from our good friend Darlene, and we've just made them a million times since then. And we've kind of changed them over the years based on our needs. They're great for breastfeeding moms. If you're a breastfeeding mom, you can make them in circles and either freeze them or heat them up for soreness, or if you've had any kind of surgeries. Like I said, they're great. In the winter, they're great. We can microwave them, and then if we're going to jump in a cold car, they keep you warm. So I'm going to show you guys and give you guys a couple options on how we make these little pouches. I should have brought one up because I have a bunch downstairs. Okay, that being said, you can use any fabric you want, but to make this really simple, I got these at Walmart. This is a fat quarter. You can get them at Joann's or anywhere. They're usually, I think this is $1.50 or right around that for this. They come in all kinds of different colors. If you just want to use fabric, you totally can. This just already comes in like a square, and so I thought that's really easy for beginning sewers. This is kind of a super basic idea for somebody. Okay, if you don't have a sewing machine, you probably know somebody who does, either your mom, your friend, your neighbor. This is a really easy one for you to borrow a machine or ask for their help. People that sew are usually willing to help. So a fat quarter comes with this little sticker. At Walmart, they're in the fabric section. They're kind of like a whole bunch of different ones stuck in there. But like I said, they're like just around over $1.50. They, when you unfold them, are kind of a rectangle. What size are they? I don't even know. 18 by 21 inches. You don't need, well, you could make a warmer this big if you really want to. And what you're going to do is just fold it in half. That would be a good one if you're having like a major, like a back. If you have a really sore back and you want something you can heat up or cool down for back pain, good one. We don't want it that big. And so all I'm going to do is fold it in half inside out. So the pattern is facing the inside, and I just folded it in half like that. I'm going to lay it on my, well, I should probably put a cutting mat down, but I'm using my dresser because welcome to it. All I'm doing, okay, so I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it. There's creases on here from it being already folded. I'm just going to cut on the creases to make my life really easy. And this is not like super particular. You don't have to be so like spot on. Like I was saying, here, I'm grabbing a scrap fabric. I keep all kind of scrap fabric in this drawer. If you have, like me, a million pieces that you've cut weird shapes out of, just cut a square or a rectangle or whatever shape, and you can use scrap fabric for this. We have a ton of it in our house because I sew. So with this one, for the dollar, I really should have looked at the price. I think it was $1.47 for this piece of fabric. And they have solids and different stuff. We're going to be able to make 4 little ones, or you can make 2 bigger ones. It's kind of up to you. I'm going to show you one small one. So I'm going to cut on the first line. Maybe I think I'm going to make a set of hand warmers and then one bigger one that can be for your back or your shoulders or whatever. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a set of hand warmers, and then I'm going to leave. So we have 2 that are same size, and then I'm going to leave one a little bit bigger. These are not exact measurements, just whatever you've got. That's what you're going to work with. I'm going to turn you guys around to my sewing machine, and I'm going to take you over there to show you. I'm going to show you one, but the principle for one is the same for all of them. So I'm going to pause you, take you over there. Hold on. Okay, you guys, we're at my sewing machine, and I hope you guys can see. I have a Juki TL2000. You can do this on literally any sewing machine. I'm not going to show you how to thread a sewing machine. But the basic, if you look up a manual for any sewing machine, I'm going to turn you a little bit this way because I feel like I'm staring weird, is you need a top thread that kind of runs through your machine. And then there's a bottom spool or bobbin that you also need to pull up from the bottom. You can look up, based on your machine type, pretty much anywhere on YouTube how to thread it. That's step one, is thread your machine. So we have our piece of fabric. And what I did is, it's a long rectangle. When you sew, you want your pattern to be on the inside, and we're going to flip this right side out later. Okay. Yes, I totally just lick my fingers. It's the easiest way to grip fabric. What we're going to do is start on one edge. This edge is already closed off because it's like the fold. We are going to sew all the way around and then leave a little hole right here to fill once we get to that point. So what you're going to do is put your foot down. I have a mark for a 1/2 inch. It's one of my pet peeves, is that most sewing machines are not made in the US. So they don't really have a 1/2 inch mark, but all of your seam allowance suggestions are 1/2 inch. It's kind of one of those weird things. So you're just going to put your little foot down. There's usually a thing on the back of your sewing machine here to drop it. My foot pedal's way far away. And then the only other thing you kind of need to know is there's a forward and backward button on most machines. It's usually a lever. Mine is a button I just push and it goes backwards and forwards when I need it to. Some of them it's like a little dot. Some of them it's a button. It's always in a different spot. That's really the only stitch you need to know for this one, is to go straight line and backwards and forwards. So my foot is down. I'm at my 1/2 inch seam allowance. You're just going to go forward like 4 stitches. My sewing machine sounds funny. Hopefully this is fine. And then I'm going to push my button to go backwards and go backwards the same 4. Okay. My sewing machine is jammed, so I knew I should have rethreaded it, but I decided, no, I'm not going to rethread it. Why would I possibly want to do that? So I'm going to teach you what not to do, apparently. Oh, I didn't close my little thing. Okay, let me fix this. There we go. Redo. Okay, it's in there now. There we go. Now we should be ready. Redo. Sorry about that, you guys. Okay. Here we go again. 4 stitches forward with your 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then push your backwards button and go back in the same spot. All this does is secure your stitch. You always are going to do this at the beginning of your stitch and at the end of your stitch, like at the end of your sewing line. It just really tightens it and holds it kind of like a knot. So you're just going to do that 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way to the corner. Go as fast as you want or as slow as you want. My machine goes, I can go really fast if I want to. Okay, when you get a 1/2 inch from the end, you're going to pick your foot up. But your needle is down, I should tell you. Your needle is sitting down into your plate. You're going to turn the fabric, but the needle is going to hold it where it needs to because it's down. Put your foot back down and go to this next corner over here. Can you see? I hope you can see. When you get a 1/2 inch from the end, my needle is down. I'm going to pick my foot up and give it a turn again. Put your foot down. Same thing. Go all the way almost to the end. And your line does not need to be perfectly straight, you guys, because this is a gift. And so people aren't going to be as particular. If you're super particular, like I usually am, you can go really slow and be fine. But for this, I wanted to speed it along for you guys. So I got to here. I'm going to backtrack again, those 4 same stitches. And then forward again. And that's just that knot to stop it from losing its thing. It's you don't want it to unravel. I'm going to lift my needle up, and then I just have a pair of scissors here. I'm going to pull this. Whoops, mine does that sometimes. Pull it and give it a little trim. So as you guys can see, I have string hanging everywhere. I've sewed all the way here, 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 and then I stopped with what is about 1 inch for me to flip this fabric inside out to make our little pocket. Okay, so to flip it inside out, this is the pocket that we made, the little pocket. If you need more room to flip it, just give yourself a little more space and stop a little farther back. To flip it, the easiest thing is to kind of put your finger in the bag and go to the opposite corner. Find the opposite corner and kind of grab it as best you can and push it to that hole. See how I just grabbed it and pulled it here? Pull it out of the hole. You'll get better at this. I've done it a billion times. And then you kind of push your finger back in the hole once you have flipped it inside out and push your corners so that they're corners again and not a bulked bunch like that. Just push your corners out. And again, my finger is just sitting in, it's inside the bag right now. Okay. So now we have a little square rectangle with a hole on one end. Sorry, my nose suddenly itches. It's like as soon as it knows I'm going to film. So because of the way we sewed this little end right here is popped up. I use spit. I know it's terrible. You can use a sponge, or you don't have to wet your fingers. I probably shouldn't do that. These are staying in my house, so I'm not as worried. But I kind of push the fabric back in that hole to create, I don't know if you can see it, a little cuff. So when we sew it shut, that raw edge of the fabric that can fray is inside. So it looks like a straight line now. Next thing you need, you don't have to use a funnel. I just find this makes it so much easier. Just put a funnel right in that hole. So today, to keep this a little more frugal, I'm giving you a couple options. But for today, what I'm using is long grain rice. I just have a little container of some long grain rice, especially if you have a food stock and you have some rice that's getting old. This is a great project to use that for. The other thing you can use is to fill these is dent corn, which is like a corn that's animal feed, and it won't pop like popcorn in the microwave. That's super important. It still smells like popcorn when you microwave it, but it won't pop like popcorn. The third option that you've got is flaxseed. Flaxseed is great if you're only going to put it in the freezer. I don't recommend microwaving flaxseed. It gets weird. But if you're going to just use this as a freezer bag, a boo-boo bag, then this is a great option, is flaxseed oil. Something else you can do to these is make them scented if you choose. If you have dried lavender or any essential oil that you like the smell of, you can, after we put our rice in here or your whatever you're going to fill it with, put a few drops of essential oil onto your rice or your dent corn. And when you microwave it to make your heat bag, it'll release that lavender or orange or whatever smell you put on it. It will get a little bit on the fabric. I don't usually add essential oils to mine, but up to you. So holding this very carefully, I'm going to pour rice in here. And you kind of have to shake it a little bit to get it to go down. But just shake the bag a little bit and the rice is going to start to settle down in that corner. You can fill these as little as you want or as much as you want. I like them kind of full, but I don't want them so full that it's going to make it hard for me to sew it shut. So if you're making like a pocket version that you want to be able to take with you, say you're going to go see Christmas lights or whatever, I would do less rice because you don't want 17 pounds of rice in your pocket. So maybe 1 cup of rice is probably a good amount. Okay, we're stuck. So mine is to here right now. And that's probably a pretty good amount. So in mine, I have about 2 cups of rice. It's up to here. But that gives me plenty of space, and it's pretty packed down at the bottom right now, side to side. When I flatten it out, it'll still be nice and full. So remember we put that little cuff at the top, right? We're going to sew that back shut. And then your rice is secured in your thing. If you're doing a bunch of these, they sell quilt clips. I get mine on Amazon. You can buy them at Joann's and stuff. They're so expensive though. And I just stick them on this edge right here. It'll hold your rice or corn in place until you're ready to sew it. So if you want to make like 15 of these and do like a little, conveyor belt line, you know what I mean? Factory worker line, just clip the top so you're ready to come back to your sewing machine. So say you want to do your kitchen counter so rice spills all over, you're fine. It's all good. Since I'm just making the one, I don't need the clips, but I wanted to show you guys that. So don't forget, if you're doing essential oils, I would drop them in now and kind of squish them around in your rice before you sew it shut. You can also do it in a bowl before you dump it into your bags so that it really gets distributed on your rice evenly. So I'm going in from the far end. This is the area that is not sewn right here. I'm going to put my foot down right on that edge with basically my fabric, instead of doing a 1/2 inch, I'm sewing with the fabric hitting right on the edge of my foot. So it's maybe a 1/4 inch in for where the needle is going to go down. You're going to hold the back end of this bag so that the weight isn't pulling your needle forward while you're trying to sew. And this is the same thing. You're going to go forward and backward a few times to secure that shut. So you want to sew as far down as your hole is. So mine is right here. I'm going to go just past that a little bit and then backtrack a couple times. It's pretty simple. If you have a cute decorative stitch on your machine, I literally bought a quilting machine, so it has one stitch, it goes straight. If you have a cute one that has fancy stitches, you could do this with cute little hearts or flowers or whatever your heart desires. So I just sewed that back and forth a few times. I'm going to clip my strings off. This would be super cute. Oh, it needs to be a cotton fabric, I should say. It'd be super cute with some Christmas fabric in your little Christmas bag that we're making, or box or basket, whatever it is you're making. But okay, you can see now I've just sewed here to here, back and forth a couple times to secure that. Now my rice is totally secure in my bag. That's it, you guys. It's like a giant bean bag essentially, except it's rice. So that is our hand warmer. To use them, what I typically do is I put them in the microwave just as is. Don't need to do anything. Excuse me. And you microwave them for 30 seconds. Give them a shake. If they are not warm enough, do it for like another 15 seconds at a time until it gets to the right heat. They'll hold their heat, not hours and hours or anything like that, but long enough for you to get, some relief from pain, or, if you're going out, to just keep you a little bit warm. If you're going to put them in the freezer, I keep them in a Ziploc baggie just to keep some of the moisture off of them that builds up in your freezer. But when the kids were little, I had a bag that had like 6 of these. I used to make really little tiny ones. And the kids, if they come in and say, "Oh, Mom, I fell while riding my bike," or whatever, I would just tell them, "Go grab a boo-boo bag." And they would run out and get a boo-boo bag. But like I said, we've had these in our house for probably 25 years. We have a basket that I just keep under one of our end tables by the couch. And in the winter, I love to grab them because if we're going to sit on the couch and I need to get warm, I just go pop it in the microwave. And there's just something about snuggling with this thing underneath the blanket that's just like awesome. But again, it's one of those things that my kids grab, I grab, and you can use them hot or cold. But think of the fabric options. You can do all different sizes. Like I said, I'm going to do a set of like hand warmers, and then I'm going to fill a big one. Obviously, you need a lot more rice to do this size, but do a big one. And you could do like a little gift set. Like I was saying, it's great for moms who've just had babies, because if you've had children, you guys know breastfeeding is uncomfortable, and they sell special packs for it. You don't need that. Just put some rice. If you're going to do cooling packs, flaxseed is really nice because they're a little bit finer grain. They don't have the quite texture to them. Or, like I was saying, surgeries, things like that. It's one of those things that once you have these in your house, you're going to grab them a whole lot more often than you think. So anyways, that was today's video. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them below. Hit subscribe if you're new to our channel. Like I said, we're doing our Christmas in July theme. I think we have 5 more videos that are going to be coming out. But this one, especially for teacher gifts. This is a good one. Throw some dried lavender in there and tell the teachers, like, hey, it's a stress relief pack. You throw it in the microwave and it gets a nice, like, calming scent going. Plus, it's like a sensory thing. I love just sitting here messing with it. Okay, anyways, enough on that. Thank you so much for joining me in my guest room. I hope that the lighting and sound and stuff was okay for you guys. But we will see you guys in our next video, which we'll be back in the kitchen for. This was the only sewing video I think that we are going to be doing because it's super simple. And if you're a beginner, go make one and let me know how they turn out. If you have pictures, you guys can totally email me pictures too at, what's our email address? It's littlehillhomesteadga@gmail.com. And, or find us on Facebook or Instagram or wherever else you guys look for us. We have a TikTok. We don't use it because, yeah, you know, but go find us and let us know what you think. If you have any great ideas for Christmas in July or Christmas gifts that you guys give to people that you home make, let me know below. I'd love to hear your ideas. And if we don't feature them this year, maybe we can feature them next year when we do this again, because this has been fun. Anyways, I have 5 more videos coming out, and I look forward for, nope, this is 4 more, because this was our 5th. 4 more to come. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks.